Hello and welcome back to another episode of the People's Wrestling Podcast. For the first time in a little while. It's been a minute since we've all been in the same virtual room. First of all, Ali, Matt, thanks for joining me. How are you?
I'm good. You may notice the exotic surroundings in which I find myself.
A change of scenery.
Yeah, I finally moved home. Finally.
Well done.
It's only been about a year.
It was 8 months. 8 months, I think, from listing to moving in, which is great. It was great.
Now you can finally stop banging on about it.
We
Talk about some other wrestling.
I generally have nothing else to talk about now. So.
Yeah,
How about you? What's been going on?
Not a lot. A lot of work. Lot of work. I've had my double dose.
Oh yeah.
Double dose wanker.
You double
dose
dipped.
wanker. Not many of us, but yeah.
At 2 jabs.
At 2 jabs.
How do you feel? Do you feel protected? Do you feel superior?
I always feel superior, you know this.
This is true.
That's fair, yeah. Well, I've not been up to much, in case anyone was wondering.
We won't bother, but you can tell us.
Yeah. Been working and trying not to cut my hair off. So that's about all I've got going on at the moment. But it's about all we can do. Things have been getting a little bit better, I guess.
Still in lockdown.
Yeah, things are slowly starting to open now in the UK as our situation progresses. Vaccines are going well, as you can tell by Matt. You got 2 doses before me and Ali even got 1. And yeah, we could officially now all meet up in the same garden if we wanted to.
Could.
And wouldn't be against any rules.
I fucking hate you guys.
Brilliant.
That's fair. I wouldn't travel that far to see you. But anyway, yeah, so things are getting better. It's spring season, which also means it's Wrestlemania season. And that's going to be the topic of our discussion today. But we're only going to spend just about 2 or 3 minutes, probably more like 5, on this year's WrestleMania, which we'll get to first, because the main topic we'll be discussing is WrestleMania 35, which is the one that we went to a couple of years ago.
Last one with the crowd.
Actually the last one that was attended by fans, which is, it feels like years ago now. Like, it feels genuinely so long ago. It was only 2 years. Yeah, like this time 2 years ago, we were getting hyped for it. So let's just quickly just have a quick chat about this year's WrestleMania coming up, because we've not talked a lot about it really. How are we feeling? Are we intrigued? Are we excited? Are you finding it hard to care? What's your feelings going into this year's one?
I'm gonna straight away be like, I haven't watched wrestling since last March, so I'm struggling to.
You've watched bits and pieces.
I mean, I catch up now and again, but I haven't watched like a full Raw or a full SmackDown in 12 months. So I think they're trying to fit a lot in for 2 nights. It's just a bit like, come on, guys.
I was interested to see the 2 nights return this year after they kind of sampled it last year. Now they're doing it with fans, albeit limited amount of fans, but still a fairly decent amount. Ali, how do you think that's going to pan out? And do you think it could be something that, seeing as WrestleManias in the past are about 62 hours, could be something they go for full time?
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what it's like. I mean, last year's was a very different WrestleMania without the crowd, obviously, and with them doing it 2 nights, it felt about right, I think, just because with no crowd, you don't really have that energy. So I think spreading it over 2 nights was right. It'd be interesting to see, as you say, what they do with the crowd being there. Obviously, with 2 nights. First thing I would be interested in is it the same crowd both nights? Because if it is, I mean, there's still going to be that element of fatigue there. It's not time fatigue, is it? It's wrestling fatigue that you feel when you're.
I can vouch for wrestling fatigue.
Yeah.
If it was 2 nights and you were going to a SmackDown and a NXT, yeah, you're gonna be fucked by day 2. Like day 2 of WrestleMania, you're gonna be fucked.
Yeah, I do think though that the having like whatever it would be 17, 18 hours of a break in between one night finishing and the next one starting, it definitely would help though, rather than it just being one long slog like we had, like an 8-hour WrestleMania or whatever it was, which I'm sure we'll touch on. I think the 2-night concept could work fine going forward. What I found, and they might as well have tried it last year, it's been discussed previously and they had nothing to lose basically. What I did find was, and I'm sure it was kind of also impacted by performers not being there and stuff like that, it gave birth to, in a way, a lot, maybe a lot of matches that are just not WrestleMania worthy. Like last year, we just had a randomly thrown in Natalya versus Liv Morgan match with, it literally had no build. It was just, here's just some people wrestling, which there was no chance we were going to get on in a normal regular one-night card. So as long as it doesn't just give matches for the sake of just having 25 matches rather than 15 or whatever it was they normally have, I'll give it a go, basically.
But I don't understand why they can't just scale it back.
I know, like you'd think that you just say now each night is a bit shorter. We can have the same amount of matches we were originally going to have, but just make them a bit longer, because you get so often you have matches at WrestleMania where they last like 7-8 minutes and you kind of feel a bit let down because it didn't feel like it got the time it deserved, which I'm sure a lot of the performers feel as well. So yeah, that would be the natural way of thinking, I guess, but a part of it is also like so and so deserves to be on WrestleMania, and I don't know, it's hard to please everyone. But anyway, that's enough about this year's WrestleMania. I'm sure we'll discuss it a little bit more in depth, perhaps before
we got
before the event. And I think it's the weekend after next, I think, isn't it?
I believe so.
The week.
Yeah.
It's a
whole. Yeah. So I was looking at this the other day. The schedule is insane when you think about it, because we got the Raw on the Monday, and then I think hold on, let me just find it. I've got it written down somewhere. We got Raw on Monday. Tuesday is apparently the Hall of Fame, which I think started. There was a taping yesterday. Because pictures emerged.
They taped it yesterday.
And I think I don't know if they've done it all in one night taping or if they've split it in two, because they've kind of got 2 years worth to induct. Yeah, because obviously the last year's lot didn't get their night. Wednesday we got Takeover Night 1. Thursday we got Takeover Night 2. Friday we got SmackDown. Saturday we got Mania Night 1. Sunday Mania Night 2. Monday or Raw. Tuesday NXT debuts on Tuesdays. So we've got 9 consecutive days of WWE content, let alone anything else.
Could you imagine that? Like, I was slammed after 2 days.
Yeah, and that would have required a lot of, I think, Red Bull and money, which I also didn't have.
Money specifically,
Yes.
Yeah. The money bit.
So yeah, that's this year's WrestleMania. But let's cast our minds back to early April 2019. I can't remember what day we went, the 3rd or something like that.
I can tell you that.
I can work it out. I've got pictures.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
4th of April.
It does matter.
4th of April, I was close. Right, so yeah, this just a little bit less than 2 years ago, we embarked on a journey via Frankfurt to
as you do naturally on the way west, you go east
to New Jersey / New York. So let's talk about the trip. Really, is my second time going to America. I know you guys are fairly more experienced than me. Does it ever get any easier for you?
To be fair, the flights get a bit better.
Well, I mean, that wasn't a great flight to be.
Flight's fine. The turbulence wasn't. Yeah.
I don't remember it really. I've probably put that to the back of my mind.
I feel like you guys had a Thierry Henry, Jamie Carragher moment on the plane, basically, when the turbulence hit, and I think Matt, you reached across the range, like, or it was one of us, or
I think I was in the window. I was at the window. You were in the middle, and Matt was on the aisle. And we just kind of looked across you and looked at each other like, oh shit, because it was one of those.
Here we go.
It was personally, like, I've not been on a massive number of flights, but it was the worst turbulence that I've ever experienced. And there was a moment where it literally felt like you were flying and the plane just dropped, and like to the point where people like shrieked. Like people on the plane all kind of audibly kind of gasped and made noises. That was when we looked across and was like, "Oh fuck!" But
here we go.
It was fine. We made it
because we were saying how gutted we would be if we died on the way to WrestleMania.
Yeah, just our luck. But eventually we made it to New York, or to New Jersey to begin with. Matt, this was although this is Ali and I's first WrestleMania, this was actually your second one, and it was your second one in New Jersey at the MetLife.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a dab hand at the MetLife now. I've been there 4 times.
You should just go to everyone that they hold at the MetLife.
I will. From now on.
I'll probably
just
progressively keep getting colder and colder as well.
I might wear a jacket next time.
Say, probably should.
Yeah. Or jeans at least. So yeah, we arrived in New Jersey, at Newark, I think, and
was Newark
correct? Had to queue up in customs
for
a long time.
I had blocked this out of my mind.
Yeah, probably wise.
I thought we were going to miss WrestleMania.
I know. Let's put one security bloke on to do our whole flight. Brilliant.
There was about 35 gates worth, but literally like 2 of them were open. It was ridiculous. Also, we don't really have any particular plan for this episode. I've not like planned out a timeline or whatever to discuss. I'm literally just kind of trying to recall all of this from memory. So if I miss anything or whatever, feel free to jump in. But yeah, I think because when you get the bit of the gate and they're going through your passport and all that kind of stuff,
customs,
do your thumbprint, and they make small talk with you and whatever, and they were like, and they always have to ask why, like, what are you doing in New Jersey or New York? And I think they must have got the WrestleMania answer a lot.
Yeah.
Because by the time I was like, oh yeah, I'm here for WrestleMania's big wrestling show. She was like, oh yeah, we've had a lot of that today, and they're just like, oh. Okay.
I had the grumpiest person, because you went to a woman. I went to the grumpiest bloke, and I was like, I'm here for WrestleMania, and he was like, what's that? I was like, it's a wrestling thing, and he was like, uh-huh.
He must have heard it by now at that point in the weekend. So I think we arrived on Wednesday evening or Wednesday afternoon. We got there, I think.
We arrived on like Tuesday morning and left the airport on like Thursday night. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. So
because we literally got to the airport, from the airport to our amazing place, and then we had to go like straight to access.
Yeah. Well, Matt, you had the unique experience that Ali and I didn't have of traveling. And flying and all that kind of stuff with a championship belt as hand luggage.
Yeah, that really. Like, I wouldn't recommend it. Fuck that. It
wasn't the plan. I don't think it was carrying your bag over the weight limit or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it would have gone in my bag, but it would have put it over the weight. So I had to carry that motherfucking thing all that way.
I think I remember doing that at Heathrow when we had to sort of unpack your bag a little bit. Get that sorted. And then I remember that actually going back a bit at Heathrow, they made me put my backpack in like a different place, and they were just like, I need to go in oversized luggage. I was like, my bag's going in oversized luggage. I'm a seasoned packer. and they were like, oh, it's just because it's a different shape. And then they like maybe put it over in a corner and then just walk away and leave it. And I was like, I'm not just going to do that.
Literally all of my stuff is in this bag.
Yeah. And eventually they came and did it. But yeah, it was a bit like, why am I just leaving this in the corner of an airport where someone could just come and pick it up?
Where they say not to leave bags unattended in an airport.
Exactly. I felt like I was being tested or something.
Yeah, if you left it, they were like, they're going to call you out and be like, you failed the test. You're not allowed on. But yeah, so yeah, as Matt described, we get to New York. We get to New Jersey to go through customs and all that. We take the long taxi/Uber ride. I think it was Uber in the end, over to our apartment in Brooklyn, which was situated in an amazing location for most of our week, because everything other than WrestleMania had access. All the other shows were all held at the Barclays Center, where we were about a 3-minute walk from.
It was literally a spit away from the Barclays Center, wasn't it? You couldn't have got better.
It was so good.
I think that accommodation was testament to just how long I'm willing to spend on Airbnb looking for stuff.
I also think that bloke had no fucking clue what was going on that week.
No, for the price that we got it at, he could have easily doubled that.
I'm just trying to scroll through our chat and find, because we had some pictures, like screenshots of the map, and we were looking around in the area. I wanted to find some of the wonderful establishments that were around the area that we stayed in.
You mean McMahon's?
Wasn't there a strip club? And
I can't remember what it was called. It was called like
a donut place
or something.
A donut shop. Yeah, which we never went to. Did we? No, we did. We did on one of the days. I think on the last day or something like that. I had my bag with me.
Yeah, we did. We went there in the morning.
I do not remember that.
Because I had a peanut butter and jelly donut. It was great.
I think it was on our last day, because I remember having my bag with me before getting back on the subway, which was infinitely confusing and nowhere near as clear as as London Underground. But we'll get to that. So yeah, like Matt said, we got to our accommodation, which was amazingly located, and literally were there for about an hour, had like a quick kind of wash and refresh, unpack, and then had to go out and meet the New Day.
I don't even think we had that long.
Yeah, probably it's probably just dump and go, not the good time.
I think we probably had longer than you think. It felt.
Well, we didn't know how long it would take to get there, how long we needed to be there by.
Was it
because we got late? We were late to access.
Our schedule for the New Day were on from 8 o'clock onwards, I think it was, and I think we got in at about 6 o'clock to the apartment.
Because we fucked up.
No, we fucked up whilst we were at access. Getting there, we were all right. But
but I think we were late though.
We were late to New Day
because we did other stuff to begin with.
We were late to get there because we were supposed to have VIP access, and we ended up having to still queue.
I'm not sure. I can't even remember how. Was that? Did we Uber that one for the first time? Because I remember there.
No, we went on the coach.
Was that the first time, or was that another?
No, the first time we got the Uber, because I think we were like,
we just need to get there.
Yeah, when you saw that, I think we didn't get the coach till the next day. Because I remember it being daytime.
Probably
so
we looked at the amount of money we were spending on transport.
I'm gonna go through my WrestleMania album now and try and remember who we met, because we met quite a lot of people, especially for that first day as well when we weren't there.
So the first day we met the New Day. I met Jimmy Hart. Before we went
in the shop, yeah.
Yeah, because we'd all kind of split up and we were all looking around, and then when we met up, you're like, showed us his picture. I met Jimmy Hart. You're like, son of a bitch, where? And you're just walking through over there to his table.
So we met the New Day.
Our photo of the New Day, by the way, is great. Tim White, yeah. Yeah, because Tim White was next to the New Day's table, wasn't he? He was just kind of in the off bit next to the line.
It was after we came
off, wasn't it? Photo, and he was like, "Why would you want a photo of me?"
It's fucking Timmy White.
Tim White.
Yeah. You died. We met Buddy Murphy.
Bloody Murphy.
Brothers. Sonia Deville. We won't go into that.
We will go into that. So, Sonya Deville. So in the order of the queue for us to meet her, so we all went up one by one. She was at the end of a table of people. I was first, and I walked up to her, and she looked up. And she said, "Hey, I love your hair." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." It's just a method of whatever. I can't remember what I said, but I specifically remember her saying, "Oh, I love your hair. It's really cool." So after we'd all kind of met and got this thing signed and all that stuff, and when we reconvened at the end of the line, I was like, Sonya Deville told me that she loved my hair. And for some reason, neither of you have ever believed me about this.
I don't know. I 100% believe that she said it. I don't believe she said it for the reasons you think she said it, though.
I believe she was looking at me over your shoulder. That's what happened.
Matt seems to think I got it out of some kind of Make-A-Wish sympathy kind of comment. I don't know. I know I've got a scar from ear to ear, but I mean, I don't think I give off that vibe. Maybe after talking to her, I don't know.
Bit of jet lag.
Maybe that's what Adam Cole thought.
When you basically told him he was cute.
Yeah, kind of fucking.
You basically told him he looked great.
I bummed him.
This episode's going to be fucking fantastic.
Hey,
less said about that, the better.
If only Sonya Deville could see your hair now.
You what?
If only Sonya Deville could see your hair now.
I know.
And then, after we met them, we also had to sign a waiver, didn't we? To be on
Total Divas.
Total Divas.
It was our big TV break.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on TV before, but yeah. It was your big TV break.
Since. Yeah, I've not had any appearances or bookings since, so I'm available if anyone wants any bookings. Yeah, we met quite a few people looking back at the photos on that first day.
I got my redemption photo.
We met.
I got my redemption photo with Leah.
Yeah.
Because my ex made me delete the other one.
And I had a drama with that one as well, didn't I?
Oh, you couldn't find it, could you?
Oh, yeah. Your file was like corrupted or something.
The photo, because they give you the little slip, don't they, to like go download the
website.
Thingy, and I went to it, and I think it either was corrupted or it wasn't me. And then
I think yours just wasn't there or something.
Yeah, I had to email them to get my picture. It took a couple of days, and it's kind of underwhelming when you get it when you've been waiting a few days.
Yeah,
mine's really good. I really like mine.
Yeah, so we met Lita. We also met then Intercontinental and now WWE champion Bobby Lashley.
And
actually, what a nice guy.
Very nice, yeah. Very, very tame and friendly. Fucking huge, beefy.
We also
met Chad Gable and Bobby Roode. Robert Roode now these days.
Bobby Roode was a dick. He literally didn't say a fucking word.
I think I kind of, as long as no one is outwardly rude, then I don't really mind it, because I understand that like it must be quite shit. Just having to like you're just standing there meeting loads of people who probably all say similar things. And you stand there, hi, nice to meet you, photo, move on. Like I do have some sympathy with maybe not being the most enthusiastic. I do appreciate those who go a bit above and beyond. For example, I think it was the next day, Sami Zayn was lovely.
Yeah, the B team. Oh my god,
B team. And I was going to say this the other day, actually. Do you remember how much Matt loved the B Team's Battle Scars theme music?
It was fucking amazing, and then they cut it.
When they had unnecessarily really cool music. And looking back on it, I'm pretty sure they only did it just because they were looking through their library of songs and just picked one starting with B and didn't listen to it until like the first couple of times they used it. I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't quite fit. But yeah, by that time we were fully entrenched in B Team, go, go, go.
Day 2 access started with Cocktail. We had that big and
banging.
Well,
that banging breakfast, and that's where we found out that Aidan never had an egg before.
So random.
Never had egg as not part of like pancake or something like as an ingredient of something.
Yeah, that still blows my mind.
I think I may have maybe had like scrambled eggs once or something like that. But yeah, I had eggs, sunny side up, I think it was. And I think they asked me or something how I wanted my egg, and I was like,
yeah, we all just
I was
went,
like, Ali,
"He'll
how
have
do
it
I want
sunny
my
side
egg?
up."
I was like, Ali, tell him. But yeah, I love steak and eggs for breakfast. The first time I think I'd ever had meat for breakfast, really.
Do either of you, Jesus, more like bacon?
Oh yeah, that's what I pancakes.
Do either of you remember the strange name of that place we ate?
No, but I will show you a picture that I found fantastic in the bathroom.
No, because it was right next to Access, wasn't it?
It was nearby.
We got the taxi there and then walked to Access. But no, I don't remember the name.
It was lucky because it was freezing and pissing it down. It was Fort Defiance, which I thought was a strange name for a little restaurant / pub / bar / grocery store. But yeah, no, great food.
Even better wallpaper. So this was the wallpaper in the bathroom. So the bottom bit had been ripped off, but someone thought, I'm just going to draw it back on. I mean, absolutely fantastic.
I mean, you wouldn't know unless, if you didn't already know.
Unless I told you, you would not know.
Well, before we got there, the start of our second day actually started with our little T-shirt reveal.
Oh Jesus! I forgot about
it. Jesus!
For those of you who don't know, in the lead up to WrestleMania, we set ourselves a little.
This is my fucking stupid idea as well.
It was a fun. I think we were just looking at I think there was a shit shirt that was on the WWE shop, and we basically came up. Matt came up with the idea for let's buy each other. So one of us will pick someone else in the group, and we'll buy that person a shitty wrestling T-shirt, and we won't reveal it to them until we get to WrestleMania, and you have to wear it on one of the nights. So yeah, cut to our morning of day one, and we decided to do the day review. So I think Ali, you got me, I got Matt, and
I got Ali. Yeah.
So yeah, I spent hours and hours trolling, scrolling through the WWE shop website, and I found a horrendous T-shirt from Natalia. Don't know if anyone's ever seen it, but it's basically a picture. I don't know if it's a picture of her cat, 2 paws. There's a picture of a cat with like colours and arms and lasers coming out of its eyes that say paws out, claws out, it's mail time. There you go.
This design. And if you wanted to know how Matt felt about the situation, that's how he felt about the situation.
But it wasn't the worst out of the 3.
Wasn't the worst out of the 3. I was annoyed that regardless of I thought the best thing about it would be, as Matt is the largest one of us, that the print would get larger and larger with the shirt, but the print stays the same regardless of size. So I've just got this shirt, but with a tiny print in the middle, which Matt got away with in the end, because it could have been a whole lot worse.
It could have been brightly coloured.
It could have been brightly coloured, which is what Ali ended up with. a bright yellow Bailey's Gonna Hug You T-shirt.
I mean,
Ali, do you still wear that on the regular?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, can't get it off me.
But I've still got mine. To be fair,
I've still got it
in my cupboard.
What annoys me the most about that T-shirt is the fact that it's so damn comfortable. It just feels really nice. But Jesus, yellow's not my colour, you see. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's a hard T-shirt to pull off.
I mean, you've got yellow, you've got neon blue, some neon hot pink, and some green.
You've got a smiley face with a side ponytail hugging itself. I mean, it's the essence of the Valley, really, at the end of the day.
Captured my form perfectly, yeah.
I mean, I think I won. Hands down, I won.
I'd agree. Ali, the one I ended up with, luckily, same with Matt's, it was black, just with a design in the middle. I think Ali kind of misunderstood the concept. Didn't quite get the full spirit of it, whereas Matt and I were going for just gearing, just really shit. Just a shirt that you just wouldn't want to wear for like looks alone. Ali was going more based off the fact of people I don't like. Originally, the shirt that I wanted to get Matt, which they stopped selling on the WWE shop at the time, was I wanted to get a red Brie mode t-shirt.
Thank the Lord.
Which I thought would have been amazing, and then they stopped doing it, which was a bit
if you'd have got me that, then by far you would have won.
No, that honestly, I would have been. I looked on eBay and thought about cheating it a little bit, but I thought I'll stick to what's on the shop in case they look.
Stick to the rules.
That was part of the rules, yeah.
So, that being said,
didn't we? We all got to veto one as well. I vetoed Nia Jax.
Yeah,
you vetoed, and I think we all did a central veto on Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I vetoed the Bellas because I just didn't want to be walking around sporting some Bella merch, but.
Yeah, because I was like, oh shit, yeah.
Because didn't Frankie used to have a Brie mode t-shirt?
Still does, yeah. Never wears it.
No, don't know why. I think it was purely based off Total Divas.
You end up with a No Way Jose t-shirt.
So I ended up with No Way Jose.
It wasn't the most ghastly looking, but aside from the fact that you really hated No Way Jose, I really like the fact that it just says "Shake your maracas" on the front of it.
Yeah, it's just a cartoon version of him with giant maracas saying "Shake your maracas." And
I thought that might be quite fun. You walking down the street, and people looking at your top, just going, "Why would I shake my maracas?"
But to be fair, no one even looked at us twice.
No, I mean when you put it in a wrestling context, everyone's wearing these kind of things. Some people are dressed up as wrestlers. So at the end of the day, there's no one but us.
Do you know what we should have done? We should have worn them home.
Yeah. But yeah. I think one thing we didn't prepare for when it came to the idea of wearing these t-shirts was just how bloody cold it was going to be.
Yeah. Because it
was the theme of the weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Early April in New York, mainly. And it was very rainy a lot. It was quite cold and windy, and then it would also get to about 22, 23 degrees while we're strolling around the streets of Manhattan, which just made it very difficult to dress for. But yeah, those were the shirts we ended up with. Until literally 3 weeks ago, start of this month, I did a clear out of about half of the clothes that I've got. I chucked that one because I've not worn it once since WrestleMania. It was just.
I haven't worn mine, but it's just memories, guys. Come on, memories.
Yeah, mine's in the new. I moved with mine.
Yeah, you literally you had a choice to easily throw shit away, but you decided to keep it, which is admirable in a way. But yeah, then we move on to day 2 in Access, where according to my pictures, we met a lot of people.
Shinsuke.
Shinsuke, Dana Brooke, who was very nice. Dana Brooke wearing a sling after on TV.
I feel really bad.
Go on, sir.
Shinsuke tried to talk to me and I completely ignored him.
You big timed him.
No, I didn't know he was talking to me. I thought he was talking to Ali. And Ali was like, he's talking to you. I was like, oh, hello, what?
He was over it by that point. Yeah,
I think he asked us where we come from.
Yeah, I don't remember speaking to Shinsuke. Really. I remember speaking to Dana Brooke because she was wearing a sling. Because I don't know if it was real or not, but on the Raw the week before, she got beaten up she challenged Ronda Rousey and got beaten up. And
I actually think it was real because she didn't. When we first saw her, she didn't have it on, and then she put it on.
Well, the way she was selling it on the show, I remember saying to her at the time, I was like, I felt like you got legitimately injured because you sold it like so convincingly. She was like, yeah, it really hurt. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was a full-on legit injury. Same table, we met Cedric Alexander.
Yeah,
had a little chat with him. And we also got to see a little bit of NXT UK action, according to my pictures anyway. Can't really tell who it is. I think that's Mark Andrews and Arya Daivari. Got to watch a couple of matches in the little ring area that they had set up that we watched a few things in.
That's where we lost Matt.
Yeah, because you said, I'll meet you back here, and then you just fucked off into that area.
Not true. Not true.
100% true.
Remember. I don't know where you would have gone without us, or,
I went
or
to
vice
get
versa.
a drink. The massive thing.
There was that van that was doing like
banging.
lemonade or something.
Yeah, and then I tried to find you, and you were gone.
Huge absence of alcohol, in my opinion, at Access. Might have made
There was
them
no
bigger
alcohol, was there?
That's
I
what I
don't think
mean.
there's any.
No bars.
Yeah. Listen, I suppose you don't really want drunken fans meeting the wrestlers.
And probably the biggest insult of the entire weekend was the fact that after you queue up to see certain people, or even some of the tables, they were giving out body spray.
Free.
How much
Free
of
body
that shit
spray.
did I have to leave? So much of that shit.
I've
I've still got two of them in my wardrobe. I've still got two of them. I wear them fairly regularly.
Sneak these liquids into our little clear bags to get on the plane.
Yeah, tap out body spray, and they were giving them away for free, a lot of them, and yet loads of wrestling fans still stink. It was. I don't get it.
It's like that, actively repelling the deodorant or the body spray. Weird. But one thing I was just going to say about Access. So for anybody who hasn't been to an Access and is thinking of going, firstly, I'd definitely recommend it. It's a long ass day, but
there's more to do there as well than just meeting people. There's things to see. There's things to do if you're that way inclined.
If I was to recommend it, I would say go at least 3 times, because in 1 time you won't get to see everything. In 2 times you'll be like, oh, I wish I'd have done this more. I wish I'd have done that. 3 times you probably get to see enough and get to meet enough people.
And you also don't get to just go for like all of Saturday, for example. You get like Saturday morning. They pay for the Saturday morning, and then you have to pay for Saturday afternoon, like separate. If you want.
The only thing I regret is that we didn't go on the Monday.
Yeah.
I don't know who was there. They had good ones. I remember them having good ones, and then being like, "Oh man," like, we were in Madison Square Garden. They were like, "Oh,
all of NXT."
I think the attitude we had was we didn't want to go Monday morning, the night after WrestleMania, because we knew that it was going to be a very late night, and it turned out to be correct because we didn't get home for about 2 hours after the show finished.
We didn't leave the show until about 1 a.m. The final bell didn't ring until about 1 a.m.
So also on my pictures from that day, we've got Mandy Rose, who was very, very standoffish.
Very quiet, yeah. Also got Jack Gallagher. Gallus, who as we pose with the arms crossed like this, when I initially stepped back to kind of do that, I almost fell back through the curtain. Which,
I actually look like I'm part of them. But I could quite easily get away with being in there.
In a way, yeah. But they were quite nice about it. Also met Zelina Vega, who's tiny. Now, Taya Trinidad, of course.
She was amazing.
We also got B Team and Drew Gulak, who I remember being quite nice as well.
Yeah.
No, he didn't speak to me.
Yeah, I remember this was the time he spoke, because this is what you do when you go around. Because there's, again, for people who haven't been to Access, there's 2 different types of meeting people that you get: meeting at signing tables and photo opportunity, don't you? And so that when you go into the photo opportunities, when you go into the line, most of the time you have no idea who you're going to be meeting anyway. So they
literally flash it up.
Yeah.
So if you're past that screen when you're in the queue, and
there's a screen at the front of the line, and then there's kind of like curtains separating, like creating mini rooms in a way to just have one person in that little area. So when you walk through, sometimes you don't know who the next person is.
Exactly. Sometimes you just be walking through a curtain and being like, "Oh, it's you." So it's a strange scenario to be in the queue. There's a lot of like rumor and whispering going on when you're at Access.
Yeah.
And then we found out the hard way that people turn up when they're not scheduled to, or don't turn up when they are.
Don't turn up when they're scheduled to.
Moving feast when you're at Access. So my advice would be be prepared to maybe not see someone that you're dead set on seeing or meeting, because they may firstly not be there, secondly the queue might be too long, or you might just miss out on time. But keep your options open and go see other stuff, because there's so much other stuff, so many other people to meet, and generally speaking, the unexpected ones are the ones that you actually come away with the nicest memories of.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Don't one of the pieces of advice I would give would be, don't just set your mind on seeing certain people and then not seeing others just because you don't really care. There's a lot of wrestlers who I think really care about or don't really know anything about or whatever. Like didn't be like, oh, when I go to Access, I want to meet them. But yeah, ended up getting a picture of them and sometimes having a quick, nice little chat for the very small limited amount of time that they've got.
I feel that I went to Access and I wanted to meet certain people and probably didn't meet the people I wanted to, but the people that I did meet were amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like, because didn't Drew Gulak say something about your hair, Ali? Because I think I met him first, and then you came through after me, and he was like, "Hey, you've got the same hair. Like, are you brothers or something like that?" And it was just like that. It's just
I remember
nice
I went
touch.
first, and he said nothing to me. I was like, "Nice to meet you," and he completely blanked me. And then
I remember to be friendly.
I stood there in the pose, and he was like, "Great pose," and then like ignored me again. I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
So, according to my photos, those were all the people that we met that night before we headed over later that night to our first event at the Barclays, which was Takeover.
What an emotional roller coaster!
What an emotional roller coaster! What a show in general.
Look, I watched it back last week, and I'm telling you now, it's still the best takeover they've done, I think.
Because I've only, in terms of WWE shows, other than I think like Insurrection 2000 or something like that, all the other things I've really gone to have been house shows. Nothing really ever really happens at house shows.
That's the joy of being a UK fan, right?
Yeah. So this is the first real show that I've been to as an adult that had any kind of importance and was going out live across the world on TV. And just, it was the one I think I was looking forward to from a wrestling perspective most throughout the weekend, purely for atmosphere, because NXT TakeOver atmosphere is always good. It's not the same at a Raw or SmackDown. It's just a bit more kind of, for lack of a better word, raw. Yeah. So I just wanted to be part of a crowd, and I kind of made a conscious decision to, because I think we all do as British people and just the kind of people that we are. You kind of stay like within yourself in a way. You don't want to embarrass yourself. You don't want to come across as silly or whatever. But I kind of made a conscious decision that for NXT Takeover release, I'm just going to let myself get fully involved. I'm going to let myself get sucked in.
Couple beers.
And well, yeah. A couple of beers for 25
each.
And yeah, it really helps when you just kind of put the kind of, I guess, not insecurities, but when you just put it aside that like, oh, what if anyone judges me or whatever, because everyone's there for the same reason. It's not always the same for a house show. When you're surrounded by like the kids or whatever. So it was a really good show in general, and Matt in particular had a very emotional and troubling evening.
I mean, if I was a betting man, I'd have lost a lot of money that night.
So for context, Matt is a huge fan of Pete Dunne, as we all are quite big fans of him and his work.
Borderline stalker.
Borderline stalker, yes.
At this point, Matt has seen Pete Dunne at various shows across the UK in quite a short span of time. I think it was only about 6 months. It had been about 6 different times.
He definitely knew who I was at that point.
You met him at Toys R Us or something, didn't you?
Yeah, Smith's Toys. Yeah, definitely
Smith's
did.
Toys, that was it.
Warehouse in Warburton.
Oh yeah, and at 2 more events in Coventry.
Trent Seven, by the way, apparently complimented Matt's beard, and not once have I ever doubted that he said it or the question or the reasoning why.
Because have you seen my beard that day? Jesus.
But so yeah. Anyway, for those who don't know or can't remember, Pete Dunne was defending his NXT UK Championship, which he'd had for like over 500 days or something at that point against Walter. And it was a bit of a slow burner to begin with. I think the crowd were kind of a little bit cold to it because I don't know how many of them really knew much about either of these guys. But then the more you got into the match, the more the crowd get into the match was always a sign of a good show. Matt more so than others because he just was so invested, because for all of these shows we all had our predictions and stuff between ourselves as to who was going to win what. And yeah, Matt had predicted that Pete Dunne was going to keep the title, and it didn't end up that way.
It wasn't just a prediction, though, was it? It was a heartfelt need for Pete Dunne to retain the title.
Visceral.
I love the fact that it might have been the next day or a couple of days after that Matt had to go and meet Walter as well at Access with the UK title belt.
Yeah, fucking arsehole.
I think because when they publish who's going to kind of be there in advance or something, they just have like UK champion as slot or something rather than specifically Pete Dunne or Walter. So yeah, I think that meeting was a little bit frosty.
Yeah, it was.
But then as for Takeover itself, absolutely brilliant experience. I think for the first sort of wrestling night, I can't remember whether was that the Friday night Takeover.
Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Thursday, because...
And then Friday was Hall of Fame.
Friday was...
Fame, yeah. No, was there nothing on Saturday?
No, there was one every night. So I'm wondering whether it was Takeover Friday, Hall of Fame Saturday.
It must have been Friday. Saturday was Hall of Fame, yeah.
Yeah, because for the first sort of wrestling meet, so to speak, of the weekend, what a way to start the weekend. It was absolutely brilliant. Also, you kind of make a little bit of a rod for your own back because you're kind of hoping everything's going to be like that for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, it's part of the
yes,
issue that I find with NXT shows in general is that the first matches and stuff are always really good, so then all of the matches have to live up to that standard, and the ones that don't quite meet it then tend to look a lot worse than I think they actually are in isolation.
But you look at the roster that night, and how many of them have are now on the main roster.
Well, we got to give Aleister Black and Ricochet their NXT send-off.
Yeah, which was
against
amazing.
The War Raiders at the time. And then, they've subsequently gone up to Raw as well.
Matt Riddle.
We also got Matt Riddle versus, was it Roderick
Velveteen Dream?
Velveteen Dream, that was it. For the North American Championship. So just Riddle these days. He's gone on to do things like forgetting his lines.
The women's four-way.
We also got Shayna Baszler is now on the main roster. Io Shirai before her initial heel turn. Bianca Belair has gone on to challenge Sasha this year after winning the Royal Rumble, so she's done all right for herself. And Kairi Sane, who a fairly decent run and was subsequently retired. Maybe for now, who knows, to take on a bit more of an ambassadorial role for Japan. And then we had the UK title match. And then also, I don't think there was anything else other than the Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano main event.
Which was 2 out of 3 falls. I mean, that main event alone I could have just watched that all weekend and been like, "Yep, I'm good with that. I'm happy."
We got to see finally the coronation of Johnny Gargano as NXT champion that he'd been chasing at that point for over a year.
Yeah, I didn't want that though.
As the unfortunate, I guess the plan was him and Ciampa. And Ciampa had to pull out just weeks before Mania with. I think with another neck injury, I think it was, or his knee. I think it was.
He had to have neck surgery, didn't he?
Yeah, it was his neck. But he came out at the end and did a hug with him and Candice and stuff, which is quite nice to see at the top of the ramp. But yeah, that match, so many points at that match, I thought it was finished. I got sucked in so many times. From looking back at it after, I've gone back and thought, probably did too many kickouts. It made Gargano look a bit invincible, but there was a period of NXT where they did that, but you can forgive it when you're in the crowd at the time.
Yeah.
I can forgive it now. I think still think it holds up as one of the best main events they've done.
Yeah, it's probably a bit of a shame for Gargano's sake that is the kind of character that he is, that he's probably better in the chase than he is as the holder, and he ended up losing the title only about a month and a bit later. But yeah, overall, the Takeover show was the best wrestling show that I'd ever been to at that point, and probably since. But yeah, very, very good night, I think, and good start to our long weekend of wrestling at the Barclays.
I
may have peaked.
Went a bit too hard, yeah. Next time we go, we'll be better prepared.
I think what we quickly established was that if you go to an event, I think you have to be there by like 7ish. So you don't generally have a lot of time, especially when you're at Access, you're rushing around. You don't have a lot of time to eat, and you don't really want to be in too much at the arena because it's ridiculously overpriced.
Ridiculously expensive.
But I think what we quickly learned was because you try and get some food in before you go, but it's not a massive amount. You have some drinks, or it's hours long anyway, take over, and then you get home and you're starving, and then you're like, right now, you're wired.
You're wired, but you're drained, but you're running on a bit of adrenaline, and when that wears off, you crash hard.
Yeah, I can remember like every day eating and then being like, better.
Yeah.
Well, we'd be ordering food at like 11:30 at night to come to the apartment. We're just like, why am I eating at this time?
I'm just so glad that we were within a 3 or 4 minute walking distance, and we didn't have to like go and get a long taxi home or whatever, or at a hotel.
Get a subway.
I can remember us saying, "Oh yeah, we'll go to the bar after and everything." By the time you come out of there, you're like, "Nope."
We had all these plans. Like we'll go to my man's bar before on the way there, and then we'll come out and we'll go back there. We'll have some drinks for the wrestling fans. It'll be great. We'll be listening to all the wrestling music. Every time we walked past, it was bloody rammed anyway. And we were just like, can't be asked.
Yeah, can't be asked with that.
Yeah,
can't be asked.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. But like, yeah, we were in a good location. We had a shop at the end of our street where we can go get some food, or there was a pizza place just next to it as well.
Pizza place was good.
So, yeah, it was. Part of me wishes like sometimes took a bit more advantage of kind of being there and doing a bit more. But then part of me remembers being there and being like, I can't be fucked.
We didn't. We literally had no time to do anything. It was all wrestling.
Yeah, it was all. We had that kind of one afternoon or 2 afternoons that we could get really of kind of free time, where you then like go into New York and do some stuff and do a bit of sightseeing, but there's nowhere near enough time to do proper sightseeing. You only really get to do 1 or 2 things in an afternoon. I think the thing we did most often, other than go to wrestling shows or Access, was go to Hooters.
I mean, who goes to Hooters though?
Or that wings place where you have to queue up upstairs. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Buffalo Wild Wings, which I've also found out they have in Mexico. Nice.
There you go. They won't know what's hitting that.
They will not know what's hitting.
Do you remember getting McDonald's delivered at like almost midnight?
And they forgot Ali's drink.
And they forgot Ali's drink. So Ali complained and they were like, "Oh, we'll bring you another one." And then they never did, and then gave him a refund for like $1.99 like a week after.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I was still thirsty, but at least I was $1 better off.
Well, yeah. Swings and roundabouts. So yeah, but back to Access. There's a lot of cool things to see outside of meeting people. There's if it's the kind of thing you're interested in, there was like a do your own entrance kind area where
if you go more than 3 times gets really fucking annoying.
Yeah, all day every day they're playing music very loudly right in the center of where it is.
Hold on 1 second. Carry on talking and I'll just get something up.
There's only a shorter list of songs that they would really play.
Yeah, I feel like the list of songs wasn't very long.
Same 8 to 10 songs, really. And every now and then there'd be one that we hadn't heard in the last 20 minutes. We'd be like, oh, thank God.
But it's incessant, isn't it? It's all day.
But yeah, it's a thing I think for the kids really made their entrance, but it turned out to be a lot more adults probably. But yeah, it's wasn't for me, but.
It's the sort of thing that I think to myself before I go, like, oh, I really want to do that. Let's all do that. That'll be really cool. And then I get there and I think, I'm going to like a right prick. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. So I see someone doing it and I'm like, yeah.
How many times?
That's not cool.
Did we hear this?
Well, yeah. More times than we hear it these days on TV.
That's true. Yeah, so much of that.
Yeah,
literally was just the same thing over and over. One, you're like, for fuck's sake, do another one.
So yeah, here we are.
No, not Stone Cold.
Yeah, definitely not The Rock.
On Sunday, so WrestleMania Day. No, not Sunday. Sorry, Saturday. So Hall of Fame Day. We go to Access. There was like a championship exhibit, which was quite cool. You get to see a lot of old ring gear and entrance gear and stuff like that.
Did you take photos of that? Because I really haven't got any photos of anything art from.
Just looking through, I've got a lot of Triple H's old stuff. Because I think there was a DX area. Because it was the year that they were going in the Hall of Fame. So
Hall of Fame.
There was a lot of Triple H. There's like I've got his gown and his European Championship. I've got his setup in the Intercontinental. I've got his King of the Ring crown. I've got his knee pads, his WWF Championship belt. I've got quite a lot. But yeah, so we met Marcel Bartel and Fabian Eichner. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was probably the first, outside of I guess Lita and Tim White in a way, probably the first legend of the weekend that at least I've got pictures of.
Yeah, probably the first one we met.
We met like Ron Simmons and that, didn't we? But I think he might have been the first one.
We've got Sami Zayn with his normal beard and short hair. Also got Alexa Bliss.
Do you remember the fight that kicked off before we met Alexa Bliss?
Was it like someone cutting in the line or something like that?
I don't know, but Ali's frozen.
Yeah, he's gone weird.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost you.
Do you remember the fight before we met Alexa Bliss?
The fight?
Yeah, there was a fight between two blokes.
Was there?
I don't recall anything specific, but I imagine it's probably something to do with like queue jumping or whatever.
She was one of the nicest people we met at the weekend.
Alexa Bliss, yeah. We've also got Humberto Carrillo.
I've got
Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish.
Yeah, who you pissed off before I met them.
Me?
Someone said to them, you did well last night, and then they got right moody, and I got the moody picture after.
I think I might have said something like, "Oh, unlucky about the result," or "hard luck," or something like that. But like in my picture, like Kyle O'Reilly's got a banged up eye. To be fair, should hold it up to the camera. So I'm there smiling. Spent ages. I remember us in the line, ages practicing how to do the hand sign. Yeah, in the end, like Kyle O'Reilly, it's quite blurry, but yeah, he didn't look too happy. But I assume that might have been their kind of character for the night. Yeah, your photo's the exact same as mine, so I wouldn't worry. I also met the B team again. Got a bit of a more casual.
Which was the weirdest photo ever. Because we wanted to do it as a group, didn't we? And they were like, "Oh, I don't know if we'll get you all in."
They were just so up for anything, weren't they?
Yeah.
Well, I can remember quite vividly.
Curtis Axel
literally like jumping on me and going, "Is this good enough?" I was like, "What are you doing?"
We then also met the Godfather, another legend.
Oh, he was amazing.
And also Teddy Long, with my least favourite photo of the weekend.
Where you look pregnant.
Because for some reason my stomach looks huge. I must have been bloated with all the arena food that we'd been having at that point. But yeah, it's not a flattering photo of me at all.
I'm just looking now. Do you remember? You must remember this, Aidan. That Ali was like, "I don't know how to stand," and every photo he's got his hand either like in or trying to get in his pocket.
Yeah, it's like just outside or like thumb in.
Yeah, that's so awkward when I hate fake like front on photos.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just weird. You can't be awkward with that because you have to have them. There's no choice.
We
also
also
got
met.
a pretty good one with the Revival now FTR, where they've got Scott Dawson, as he used to be known, has got Matt in a headlock. I think Dash is kind of giving me a headlock, but it just kind of looks like we're hugging. And then Ali just standing in the middle.
yeah, Ali's like, yep,
on his own.
I'm here.
I've got to show. I'll display the camera, but it's just going to look blurry. But there you go.
Yeah, I'm just on my own. I left out.
Yeah.
I mean, we should probably put all these up like as a montage.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll put them out on Twitter. Some of the ones we're talking about.
One of my favourites from that day, actually, I think it was later on in the day, was one of Matt on his own with Street Profit.
Yeah, that was the only one we met them.
That really annoyed me because he's Dingy's pulling me back. Dingy pulled me, and I'm really off balance.
Yeah.
But it looks like
Didn't they say something about your title or something?
Yeah, Montez Ford's like possessed by it as he's looking at it.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, champion, are we?" I was like, "No."
I don't think I had that one, that photo. But yeah, that would be a good one to post. And yeah, then we are who we are at. We make our way over back to the Barclays for the Hall of Fame, which ended up, I guess, being quite an infamous one in the end.
Yeah.
Maybe it's why no one's allowed to go to wrestling anymore.
yeah, this is why they've still not opened it up to fans yet. So we're going through, and they revised the format this year, and we were on the side opposite to the hard cam. So what you could see was that the inductees were reading off a teleprompter. So they'd obviously given in their speeches basically, and were time limited.
Because the year before, fucking Hillbilly Jim just fucking kept going.
Yeah, but that happens quite a lot. To be fair, sometimes you get the speech. I can't remember who it was, but I remember one. I think the year before, where it was going on for about 45 minutes, and it was just like, oh Jesus, come on. And yeah, these ones were kind of no more than really about 10 minutes each, apart from when it came to DX and stuff at the end. But we had a pretty decent lineup, I think. I remember having Tori Wilson inducted by Stacy Keibler, which is always nice to see.
The Honky Tonk Man.
Honky Tonk Man. We had
the Heart Foundation.
We'll get to the Heart Foundation in a minute. We also had DX, and who am I missing?
Am I really dark? Look really dark.
Yeah, you've gone quite dark.
Yeah. Who else are you missing?
I can't remember.
Beefcake.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think that was it. Let me just have a look.
I think it was.
Just looking. Honky Tonk Man, Tori Wilson, Brutus Bar Beefcake, DX, Harlem Heat.
Ah, yes.
Heart Foundation, and then Sue Aitchison for the Warrior Award. So let's talk about it. Heart Foundation. Bret Hart doing his speech. He's there with Natalia alongside him. I think was the one who inducted them. And so here we are. The speech has been going on for a few minutes at this point, and you see a bit of. So we were kind of midway up. We were in the lower level, but relatively high up towards the level, and you could see down by the kind of barrier side, opposite hard cam, so on the same side that we were. There was a bit of commotion, and someone had hopped the barrier and was sprinting towards the ring. And
we saw all of it, didn't we? It wasn't because a lot of people.
Yeah, we could see it coming before really anyone had reacted. Because we were quite high up and we were on that slide. And yeah, this man sprints into the ring full speed.
Well, he wasn't a man, was he?
Well, this person is the prick.
Boy.
Sprints into the ring full speed and just goes for Bret Hart. 60-whatever-year-old Bret Hart. Stroke survivor, prostate cancer survivor. goes for Bret Hart, takes him down to the ground. And it wasn't really until he just got into the ring where anyone really started to react. So he takes Bret Hart to the ground, and I remember from a crowd perspective there being a bit like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like,
yeah, it was a bit like, "Whoa, what the fuck?"
Because like, I think for a brief second it was kind of like, I wouldn't be surprised if some people thought like, "Oh, there's like some action, like a story, a story," and it very quickly turned into when you see the reaction of the wrestlers and the crew and all that.
Well, the first person who like literally jumped in the ring was Ronda Rousey's boyfriend, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ronda Rousey's boyfriend, Maria Menounos. Maria Menounos is one of the first ones. Looking back at footage and stuff.
Shane McMahon.
Shane McMahon was I think the first one really to get in the ring. But yeah, a huge group of people rushed to get this man off, basically get him off and carry him off, and some people got some good shots in. Dash Wilder especially.
Dash Wilder shot, wow!
As he's kind of being carried off down the kind of alleyway and stuff by security and stuff, he just turns around and fucking clocks him, and to the point where everyone was like, "Oh!" Like everyone reacted.
Damn!
It was so clear to see. But yeah, while there was like a big huge commotion going on and stuff, everyone was so confused. I remember Drake Maverick getting on the microphone and being like, "Don't fucking pay any attention to this prick." Like,
yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck this guy. Like, don't let this ruin your night. Like, let's just move on. Let's just get on with it and do what we're here for and pay our respects and all that kind of stuff. It was just so weird, and that the energy because then Bret Hart
really
kind of
zapped the energy, didn't it?
Yeah, because he had to kind of dust himself down. Everyone was making sure he's all right, dust himself down, and then he had to finish his speech for the next couple of minutes. I remember him making a kind of joke or something like, "Oh, like that's the kind of reaction we used to get back in the '80s" or something like that, for a quick joke. But it was just kind of like, I can't really focus now at least for the next couple of minutes.
Have you watched the Hall of Fame on the network? It's the weirdest thing because you're watching it.
It's just a big cut,
and his hair is all straight and like slicked back, and then it just cuts, and his hair's all ruffled, and you're like, "Well, that happened after."
Yeah, I think we said it at the time, didn't we? We actually recorded an episode while we were out there. It was the night after this, and I've just never ever felt so like just dejected and pissed off. Like,
I remember after
not in my life, but about wrestling.
After they'd finished the speeches and they were kind of in between bits, I remember us kind of just turning to each other and being like, I'm so angry.
I was really annoyed for Natalia, because that's her dad going in the Hall of Fame, and all she's going to remember is someone attacking Bret Hart.
I think it sounds stupid, but there's like certain people where you just hold them in such a high regard that you see something like that happen. Because for Bret Hart, like as you said, Aidan, he's like a prostate cancer survivor. He's in his 60s. He's not in the greatest medical condition. That could have been potentially really harmful for him, but also probably pretty embarrassing. To be taken down like that as a wrestler, someone who prides himself on being legit as well. Pretty embarrassing, but like as you say, he's in his 60s, and there's no way he would have seen it coming. And I'm pretty sure he would have been able to handle himself, but probably the shock of it. So I just felt really bad for him and Natalia as well, and just I felt like almost ashamed to be associated with Zachary Madsen.
That fan.
Yeah. I remember. I'm just going to send you I'm going to send you just sending you again right now the video of Dash Wilder's punch on the guy, because I remember I sent some videos to Twitter the night of or the day after of like fan shots and stuff like that. But I remember us talking about the next day. I remember saying I wouldn't be surprised if they changed stuff from now on, because the way they set it up was they were in the ring rather than at the top of the stage like they were before. They were in the ring in the middle of the arena, and they didn't have ropes on most of the sides. I remember saying I wouldn't be surprised if they changed the format or keep it like they used to have it, where it wasn't in front of fans or whatever. Little did I know, obviously, that fans wouldn't be allowed in ever again for anything. But yeah, I just remember thinking, that's just so annoyed.
The way they did it though was so good. Like that, have like 3/4 of the ring. Like,
Yeah, it makes sense to do it in a ring.
You make an
that's what they're
entrance.
famous for. Like when you think of it, just from a I guess what's the word?
Like a visual point of view.
Yeah, like visual. It's just what it represents. That they made their career in the ring, and
So
that's
they
where
leave it there that night.
That's where they should get inducted. So I'm fine with them doing it that way. And yeah, it was just a shame. And then I remember that obviously the next day, you're kind of reading about it and looking up, and you hear stuff about this guy that he's apparently some sort of like MMA fighter who'd done some stuff before. I think he was a guy who previously he like interrupted a Seth Rollins entrance or something back in the day, and he'd done a few little kind of stunts and stuff before. And yeah, who knows what his plan was, if it was anything more than just to do something stupid to get attention or whatever. But yeah,
But what is your thinking? You get into a ring
surrounded by a lot of big people.
A lot of wrestlers who genuinely could kick your ass.
Yeah, who know how to fight in some form.
Even if it wasn't there, you've got fans that would potentially kick your ass as well. Like, if I was ground level, I'd have kicked the shit out of him.
And and plus security guards as well. Like
I wouldn't have been surprised if a lot of the wrestlers were like, keep this guy in a room till the end of the show, and then just let us all speak to him.
Please.
Speak to him one by one. We'll reason with him. But yeah, so that was the kind of overriding memory of the Hall of Fame, really, because then we had the DX as the headliners after. I remember them giving a fairly funny speech. Triple H and some googly eyes, and a comment which is kind of, I guess at the time was a kind of throwaway comment that no one was really cared or pay much attention to, but it seems to have become a sticking point with AEW fans and also AEW staff and members, with Triple H calling AEW the pissant company.
Pissant t-shirt company.
T-shirt company, yeah. Who, let's not forget, at the time they didn't have a TV show yet. They're not done much really. They'd announced that they were going to be doing something. They set up a new company, and I don't know how much was concrete at this point.
Even Billy Gunn took it, was like, yeah, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, because Billy Gunn was a trainer. He did been announced as a trainer for AEW, and that's how it came about with that particular comment. And yeah, it was just kind of like,
didn't he say, yeah, because Vince could buy that pissant company anyway?
Yeah, something along those kind of lines. And yeah,
something about Billy getting fired from another company or something.
Oh yeah, no, he said I can't get fired now, and then he was like, he'll buy that pissant company
and then fire you again. Yeah,
because he was like, I could say what I want because I can't get fired. Yeah. He was like, I can finally talk because you never let me talk before. But yeah, there was a few funny moments, but that particular comment seemed to have stuck with a lot of AEW fans and staff since then, which I'm sure wasn't really the intention. It's just them throwing
it was a throwaway comment
around. Yeah, but you know, that's the way that wrestling is. It always has to be us and them for some reason.
And sort of some bad news about Road Dogg this week. Been taken to hospital.
Yeah. Apparently suffered I think it's a minor heart attack or something. Last I saw was that he's home now, so he's out of hospital and recovering. But yeah, hopefully thoughts go out to Road Dogg, and hopefully he recovers all right. Can get
potentially the best entrance ever. I mean, we all know it. Literally,
I can't
word for word.
Like almost every time I go back and watch pay-per-view or something and they're on, I almost can't help myself from just kind of going along with what they're saying. It's so infectious.
Which is why watching it in the sort of when they did their return in sort of like 2013 sort of time, watching their entrance then just really annoys me. Because they just can't even say ass.
Yeah.
You
just say you better call somebody, and it's just like really. But yeah, it's a bit of mixed feelings about the Hall of Fame in the end.
Long night. Another long night.
That was a long night, yeah.
Another long night, yeah. But the revamped format definitely helped. and I'm glad we were there for that iteration of it. And not that we've seen how they're doing Hall of Fames anymore since, because there hasn't been one, not broadcast anyway. But I'm sure it'll be a similar concept of the much shorter speeches, which most fans will welcome. So just before we finish off, because I think we'll do another one next week where we'll talk about kind of WrestleMania itself, and then the fallout, the Raw and the SmackDown and stuff.
What you remember from it?
Yeah. So yeah, we'll do that one next week. But on the topic of Hall of Fame,
we should do a watch along.
Oh yeah.
Could you imagine doing a fucking watch along with that?
Got a few hours.
Could take the file size. But yeah, just before we finish, as we're on the topic of Hall of Fame, we've got a few Hall of Fame inductees for this year's lot, and we've finally got Kane going in.
Mixed bag.
Bit of a mixed bag. It's always the way, isn't it? They've always got to have one or two headliners, and then some kind of ones that you maybe didn't expect or didn't really think that you'd see in a Hall of Fame. But I think people pay a bit. Obviously, for a wrestler and an entertainer, it's one of the highest honors you could possibly get. From a fan's perspective, from my perspective, really, I don't really pay that much attention to it. I think people pay more attention to it than they should, really, about who's in and who's not in. I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, there were very notable exceptions from the Hall of Fame who undoubtedly had Hall of Fame worthy careers. You know, it's not a legitimate, as much as legitimate as wrestling can or can't be. It's not a legitimate Hall of Fame in that, you know, only a certain select group of people go in it. Essentially, it's decided by WWE and who's available and, you know, who's got a good relationship with them still.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not to say that people who go in. Yeah, it's not to say that people who go in aren't like worthy of it, because a lot of them, most of them, really, really are. But a lot of it's very political.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people in there as well who you'd think would be in there and aren't in there for no real discernible reason, really. For example, The Rock being one where you think,
fuck him.
You surely he's obviously going to go in. He's probably not really going to wrestle anymore or do anything. So I'm not sure whether they're waiting for to be in a certain place or a certain year, or like his 50th, or whatever that the reason might be. But yeah, there's always people who will miss out or whatever. But
2026
time will come. So
30 years after.
Just looking back at last year's ones who didn't get to go in last year, we had JBL, the British Bulldog, which I forgot was one of last year's ones.
There was a massive campaign about that, wasn't there?
Yeah. So we got JBL, British Bulldog, Jushin Thunder Liger, who it felt a bit random and out of place at the time because someone who only had one match in WWE, and it was on an NXT takeover for a few years back, so it felt a bit random. And then also William Shatner. As the celebrity one, as they have every couple of years. And then the two headliners were the NWO and the Bella Twins, who, as we've seen, or some of you would have seen anyway, there's been pictures released of, I think, a taping yesterday, which I think is coming out Thursday.
The Bella Twins.
Tuesday.
Do you know what? I'm not going to watch it, I don't think.
I'll watch it. But, yeah, I've got nothing else to do.
If nothing else, they're, you know, nice to look at.
Well, and then, so this year, the ones who've been announced for this year so far, I don't know if there'll be any more, but we've got Molly Holly.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Who, I guess, at the time, she's one of those who is, I guess, very underappreciated. Maybe not necessarily in saying that like she should have been appreciated more, but she was just kind of like a member of the roster. She wasn't like treated as anything special in terms of booking wise or whatever. And it wasn't until the last couple of years. No, not yet. That's on my.
Well, she paid for Beth Phoenix to wrestling school.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
Which
they
I
were
thought
good. They'd gone quite far back. So I remember her saying stuff before on commentary. But yeah, it didn't seem until the last couple of years really that they've decided to kind of treat Molly Holly as this legend of women's wrestling. Who I'm not saying that she's not. It just at the time when she was wrestling, it seemed like they didn't really care about her. So it just seems a bit strange to me. It's the way the last few
I
years
think
they're
she
like
was,
how great she was.
She was a massive voice backstage rather than her wrestling in the ring.
Yeah, and I think she's more of an inspiration as well to a lot of the women these days. You know, of that era where they would have been watching as younger kids or whatever back then. So, and she was one of the few women at that time who wasn't sexualized really in any way.
And looking back on it in recent years, she was one of the better wrestlers at the time.
Yeah.
She was more so for her wrestling ability than just being like, let's get her on the cover of Playboy or whatever. So, yeah, I can see why they appreciate her more now maybe than they did. It sometimes seems a bit strange why they treat her as such a legend when she didn't really do that much of note on TV back in the day. Someone who definitely is indisputably a legend, undisputed, you know, he's a legend. Eric Bischoff.
Yeah.
So it kind of felt a bit random, I guess, with his kind of semi-AEW connections these days. I'm not really sure what's going on with Eric Bischoff, but what I do know is that he's going to the Hall of Fame this year, and I think it's definitely deserved. I was listening to one of Conrad's to Conrad's podcast with Bruce Pritchard the other day. He was doing a Q&A, and someone asked if WCW had beat WWE and Eric Bischoff ran WWE or WCW, what would the name of Vince's podcast with Conrad be? Could you imagine Vince McMahon just doing a podcast?
Yeah, that's right.
I think Bruce said it would be called Hate Bow. And then someone else asked, could you imagine Vince on The Price is Right? But, you know, random questions. And then, yeah, so some of the headliners and some of the more recently announced ones, we've got Kane. Glenn Jacobs, Kane. I think, yeah, that was always going to happen. Be interesting to see if that's him done with wrestling now. Because not a lot of Hall of Famers wrestle after they go into Hall of Fame. A couple have. Goldberg, yeah. Ric Flair did it night after or whatever, but there's been a handful.
But it's a bit different.
Yeah. Someone who probably won't be going in anytime soon is Christian.
Yeah.
What do we?
He's done himself a load of good for his Hall of Fame claim, hasn't he?
What do we make of Christian over there in NXT? We've not NXT, AEW rather. We've not talked about it. From my personal perspective, I don't watch AEW anymore. I did for a while, and I just couldn't keep up with it.
I've watched it more than I have WWE. To be fair,
I watched bits and pieces. Like I caught up with like most of the pay-per-views, but from my personal perspective, I was just very disappointed after finally getting him back at the Rumble and thinking of what he could do with the current crop.
I thought they could have told a really good story with him and Edge.
Yeah, well, you predicted that he was going to turn on Edge and cost him the title at Mania, didn't you?
Well, that's what I thought. That's why I thought they were going to bring him back. And I thought they could have told
do a program moving into the summer. But yeah, Ali, I don't know about you, but yeah, it just felt like a shame for me because not that AEW is not good or whatever. I just don't watch it in comparison.
Yeah, it just feels like a bit of a missed opportunity for WWE. I think clearly Christian feels like he's still got quite a lot to offer. So if AEW can offer him more of a role than WWE were, then can't really begrudge it. I just think, yeah, there was certainly a story that could have been told that, you know, would have been good to see. But you know what? It's just, if he feels like he's got some more to offer, then good luck to him. I think Christian's great. He's always been great, and you know, maybe he'll find a new home there.
Yeah, I mean, from listening to the interview that you did with Renee Paquette on her podcast, he didn't say so it didn't sound like there wasn't necessarily like it wasn't like WWE weren't going to offer him anything to like they didn't have a plan for him or whatever. It was just that he'd previously talked to Tony Khan and AEW and stuff before, and it just kind of happened. But yeah, it just felt a bit strange seeing him back at the Royal Rumble. Didn't see him again, and then a couple of weeks later he showed up on AEW. Yeah, a bit of a shame for me, but each to their own. And the last two that we've got here, which I don't know if there'll be any more announced between now and WrestleMania, but we've got the Great Khali, which is see a lot of mixed.
No,
not so much mixed, but yeah, a lot more no's than I've seen yeses on Twitter. And recently announced RVD on Van Dam,
which surprises me.
Yeah,
only because of his content in the last few years.
It's a bit more.
Has been a bit questionable.
I'm a rich man. I'm living my life character.
Yeah.
No, well, that's RVD all over, isn't it? That's been RVD's game since late 90s, isn't it? So I think WWE know what they're getting into. I can't imagine that his speech would be particularly coherent. But it's definitely well deserved. Absolutely love Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, he was always one of my favourites throughout the 2000s. I think if we don't get some kind of interaction with him and Riddle over the weekend, it'd be a bit of a missed opportunity. As long as Riddle can remember what he's meant to be saying.
Yeah.
What's the odds now
if he
that's
doesn't
going to become his gimmick? Yeah. What's the odds that's going to become his gimmick now, where he just forgets what he's going to say?
Guarantee it. Isn't guarantee it.
Vince loves that shit already.
It was just so strange though, wasn't it? It's just like, oh, sorry, I forgot what I'm saying. Bye. Like,
better than what Sid did.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that again. We're live, pal.
I don't know. I don't know if it would have been better for him to just say sorry, I forgot, and then they kind of worked their way back to whatever it was that they were going to say, or just kind of move on. But for him just to walk off and then Asuka's just like, oh, okay.
I remembered my lines, and they're in English.
Yeah.
If I could do it in another language, you can do it in your own. Jesus. But yeah, it was strange, but wrestling is strange, and wrestling is what we will continue to be talking about next week when we finish off our conversation about our week in New York / New Jersey.
Oh, it's much like WrestleMania. It's a two-part.
It's a two-part, exactly. It's what they kept calling it last year. It's too big for one night or something.
Too big for one night, yeah. And hey, it's episode 100, right?
Oh shit!
So, it's episode 100, too big for just one part. We get split in.
Obviously made such a big deal of this and had planned it out so well that we at least Matt and I had forgot.
Totally forgot it was 100. I really did. Well done, guys. We made it to 100.
Hey, we'll do something big for 200.
Are we going to get to 200?
In about 10 years time, and when we get to 200. It's only taken us nearly 4 years to get to 100. But, we did take a year off, to be fair, nearly.
Well, the pandemic.
Yeah, that thing happened. And this podcast happened, and I think we'll wrap it up here. Like I said, we'll get back to part 2 next week, but we'll put out some of the photos that we've been talking about in this episode out on Twitter, most likely, because I can't be bothered with Instagram. So yeah, we'll put some out so you know what we're talking about. You can see my pregnant belly. You can see Matt's picture of Alexa Bliss. You see Ali standing on his own while Matt and I are having a great time with the revival, and many others. So yeah, thank you for listening. Check out our pictures out on Twitter at @the_PWP, and we'll see you next week for part 2.
Bye-bye.